Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. It's so lovely to be back connecting with you all live. I missed a couple of weeks while I was away on my holiday, and it's beautiful to see you joining me back here again. I'm going to start doing my Wednesday lives at 11 a.m. Pacific time instead of 10. I used to have a full day of readings on Wednesdays, and so I needed to start earlier, and now I've shifted my reading days. So I'm going to start at 11 because that's my preferred starting time. So, hello, everyone. Hi, Ricky, Frederick, and your beautiful name in Poland, which I know I'm going to pronounce. I'm just going to call you WK. Hello, welcome. Hi, Sue. Nice to see you. And let's jump in and start connecting around this topic. So, I always, every week, spend some time contemplating about what topic to choose. And I sort of put the message out to spirit that I want to tune in and focus on something that is really important for us at this time, that's going to be super helpful for all of you and myself included. And sometimes it's right down to the last minute. I'm going to work on trying to get the topics out there earlier and the lives up scheduled earlier so you can make sure to be able to join me if that's something you're interested in. So today's topic, literally, it was like last night, and I was still going, please show me what we need to focus on right now. There's such a plethora of choices. And then I went, oh, right. This week's Soul Sampler, if you check it out, it talks about mastering our minds and how we're going to be put in this position over this week where our thoughts can run away with us, and we will literally be sort of vacillating between extreme negativity and extreme optimism, beautiful visions of potential future, noticing resonant, beautiful harmonic frequencies in the moment, and then back into like really frightening stuff. And that is very crazy making in the mind. We all have had little times of that, I believe, in our lives. And now collectively, we're in this together. And there's a lot to be distracted by in the mind. There's a lot of things that look super scary. And then there's a lot of things that are so beautiful and literally opening up in front of us moment to moment. Then I realized, of course, we've just entered into Sun in Gemini. A couple of days ago, we've transitioned out of Taurus into Gemini. And guess what? I'm a Gemini. I confess. So, for all of you fellow Geminis out there, we, I believe, are qualified to speak with quite a lot of authority around how to work with mind energy, because it's both our blessing and our curse in this lifetime. And the things that people don't like about Geminis, um, distracted, lost in dreamland, nervous, anxious, all of those kinds of qualities are a lot of what we're grappling with right now. And as you mature as a Gemini, you learn to work with this extraordinary mind gift that you've been given. You learn how to manage it, you learn how to master it, or else it's going to create a lot of challenge and trauma for you, and a lot of disconnect from friends and loved ones, and really a lot of internal battle, stress and anxiety, and so on. So I'm really grateful that over the years I've learned to work with my mind, and it still gets the better of me often. But what I was tuning in with around this topic, and I'm going to pull cards on it here in a moment, is that we are actually looking at a phenomena that I want to call mass hypnosis. So, yeah, hi, Murray. Hello, Geminis. Um, Mass hypnosis is something that I believe most of us are aware of. We understand subliminal programming that's in advertising. Most of us know, yeah, they literally flash images of things in advertising. They subliminally capture our attention. But what I want to really bring your awareness to is something I was contemplating last night, which is this phenomena of mass hypnosis, which I believe really got going strongly when motion pictures were brought in. So when I talk about motion pictures, what I'm referring to is this images that we see on the screen. Now it's digital, but it literally is working in a part of the brain that is really open to suggestion. So remember that when they first put like moving pictures on the screen and showed them to audiences, back in the 20s or whatever it was, the old black and white silent films, people would come out of the theater and they wouldn't even know how to get home. They would be so hypnotized, so disoriented. Okay, so think about that for a minute. Think about that. That state of hypnosis, when we're in that altered state, which has powerful benefit, right? We know we can do a lot of healing in hypnosis. We know we can have autosuggestion that actually helps us cure health issues and break habits and so on. But think of what can slip in there when we are just open to whatever has an agenda to feed information or direct us in a certain direction. And also, when we have prolonged time in front of the television set, for example, when that first started in the late 50s and early 60s, which was when I was a child, prolonged time sitting in front of that screen literally started to expand the part of our brain that is open to, like, literally a state of hypnosis, an altered state of suggestibility. But it also deteriorates the part of the brain that is connected to our creativity and our will. So have you ever noticed, after having a long media binge, whether it be, like binge watching some television series or something like that, you literally feel like you're completely lost and that you are just don't have any motivation. You just want to lay around and do nothing. And you can't even like create a lot of coherent thoughts about what to focus on. Suddenly your mood has shifted. Okay, that's just the phenomena. That is just the phenomena of hypnosis. Then you overlay programming and mind control. Okay. So yeah, that's a little scary, right? It's like, oh my gosh, how much time we spend in that state. And when that part of our brain that is being hypnotized with the light, the flashing light. So in the old movies, they're showing me, it was the literally the flicking images. And now that it's digital, it's the binary codes. So we're literally like being sort of constantly mesmerized. And what that does is it switches on our suggestibility and off our free will motivation. That's what I was shown yesterday. And I just want to close off my little rant here by saying I've, in my study of anthropology years ago, that's what I have, a degree in from a long, long time ago. And of course, I've followed up and been fascinated in studying culture and sociology and things like that since. In that study, I learned stories of the effect of television on, let's say, rural communities, indigenous communities, these studies that were kind of talked about back in the day, because it was still like, wow, television has this huge impact on people. Now we don't even talk about it. It's just like, it's such a part of our lives. Like we don't even really focus on how much that, I feel like, I always say the three main things that I feel are the most impactful to humanity in terms of pulling us off our course is the introduction of television and moving pictures, and then the digital frequency of how we ingest information now. Secondly, the introduction of sugar, processed sugar. That's another topic. And then finally, all the like EMF, radio waves, and also everything that is sprayed into our foods and our skies. So each one of those is a big topic, but television to me is one of the big, like when television was introduced, when the moving pictures were introduced, that was a huge moment where we have literally been taken on a mind programming journey from that point on. So hope that's not discouraging people too much. All you fellow Geminis out there are probably like, yeah, let's talk about how to work with these minds. And the point at this point is not to lament why we're so victimized, we feel so sorrowful about it. The point is, what do we do about this? With this knowledge, how do we empower ourselves to maybe learn about how to work with the parts of our brain that are subjected or really suggestible, how to find ways to break those spells? And I want to also go in a little bit to look at the energy of collective conscious thought, and how even if you are doing a really great job of, focusing your attention, restricting your media watching, and having all these really great practices, the people living in your neighborhood, the people that you're associating with at work may not be doing that. And you may be literally tuning in to the frequency of their thoughts. So we're going to cover all of that today. Hang in there with me. Before I get started pulling cards on it, I want to remind you all, I've got a sale on right now. That's 20% off all readings with me that are purchased between now and the 20th of June. So this is my, heading into summer here in the Northern Hemisphere sale. So you can access the code in our live here if you look below for that discount. And I'm also wanting to let you know that I am booking readings only 2 days a week now, which is Thursday and Friday. If those days don't work for you and you would prefer an evening appointment or a weekend appointment, send me a direct message at my website, which you can also find the link to below, and let me know that you're, needing a different time slot, and we can figure something else out. I can schedule something in my off hours. And also to let you know that I have openings, that some openings have come up this week, and there are openings next week and the week after. So that's really great. You won't have to wait for weeks and months to get in to see me. So let's jump in here and start with, oh my gosh, the first card that I open up is the mind, like mental anguish card. Stress, anxiety, and mental anguish. Yeah, okay. Let's go into this and start with, I already know what the challenges are. Let's look at some solutions. Let's look at how do we address this obvious phenomena that's affecting all of us. Some days, weeks, and months, it affects us more than others. This week, it's affecting all of us hugely. And while we go through the energy in the month of the Gemini sun, it's going to be affecting us all hugely. So let's get some tools right now. I'm going to tilt the screen down a little bit. We'll have a look at another mental card, our King of Swords, who is masterful in the area of thought, working with thoughts. Very interesting. Before I even lay the cards out, our collective guidance team are already speaking, and they're saying, really, first of all, allow yourself to notice that it is possible to utilize all that we've been talking about for positive healing. So we can actually work the way that the mind control techniques have been established and promoted and rolled out en masse. They can be redirected to actually work on healing. Oh, wow. Interesting. Holy, this is surprising. Very, very surprising. Huh. Very, very interesting. Okay. Not what I was expecting at all, but that's often the way. Let's go for this and see where we get to, because yeah, this is fascinating. So we're starting off with us in a state of well, let's say sensitivity, vulnerability, empathy, compassion. I was listening to a podcast last night, and they were talking about how the earth is made mostly of silica, which means it's a giant crystal, which means this planet is the school of empathic, intuitive openness and sensitivity. And we as humans have these extraordinary computer systems and also these deep emotional capacities for empathy and literally sharing emotional energy with all the sentient beings on the planet. So here we are going, wow, I feel it all. I feel it all. And then we've got these supercomputers that unfortunately have been programmed with a lot of negativity. So it's like we're there going, I feel it all. I feel it all. And all I can do with those feelings is think all these really horrible thoughts, scary, discouraging thoughts. Now, I'm not saying that's the case for all of you all the time, but I'm saying when we get into that mental anxiety that we saw a second ago, this is what we struggle with more than anything, is being sort of rooted down those avenues. Okay, I'm going to do a little shout out here to Joe Dispenza. I actually haven't done much work with Joe Dispenza's work. He just flashed in my mind. I see the Emperor here, who is, a real role model, a real leader, almost like an icon, a cultural icon and hero in this area of working with mind. And my daughter Crystal has done a lot of work with Joe Dispenza's offerings and has huge success with that. So I was expecting to see a lot of working on challenging stuff. And so far, the cards look amazing. Okay. This is like we are on the tip of the iceberg. We're about to expand into mind potentiality. So what this wake-up call that we're having around learning, really they're saying we've had about 40 years of observing the effects of opening up parts of the mind. I'm pointing here. I don't even know what part I'm pointing to, but opening up parts of the mind that are very literally suggestible and easily put into a hypnotic state. And now we have us that grew up in the, say, 60s and 70s as a generation who are a product of that hypnotic trance inducement and all the generations since. So what the guides are saying is we've got a lot of material that we could work with in terms of, how mind programming and mind control is really real, and also how we can not only reverse the effects, but actually utilize that same methodology to open up the capacity of our minds. So let's start with what I'm getting is that the main energy of mind control that's been used as a way to sort of subjugate a population, the whole species, really, that has been kind of done to the ultimate degree that it can. But in it, there's all these new ways of working with the mind that are emerging. So it's almost like they're showing me this bright star, which is what's been done, is literally like a star that's about to burn out. So there's only so far that can go. And it literally, believe it or not, it has stimulated other neural pathways that we can actually utilize for beneficial, healing, restorative, visionary, expanding our consciousness, literally, our spiritual consciousness, and lots of other abilities, latent abilities that we have. Okay, so then I'm drawn to the natural environment here. And what I feel like is, I know for myself, definitely, when I'm in those negative or hypnotized or kind of funky mind places, which seem to go in waves, what I've learned now is I literally just look for something to change my state. And interestingly enough, I was in one of those states yesterday almost all day long. I don't know if it was dreams I had or something, whatever it was. I was in kind of one of those states yesterday, and I was going to my usual things that I go to shift the state, and this wasn't working, and that wasn't working, and that wasn't working. And I was like, oh no, this is awful, And then I ended up going to the gym with my daughter, and I was like, I don't really normally like the energy of that. I like to go to yoga, but we ended up going there, and it, like, just being around a totally different frequency that I'm not used to being around very often, it like literally popped me out of my state, and then I was totally clear. So how do we get back into our bodies when we're in that hypnotized state, when we're in that open, easily programmed, and now we've got some like negative stuff spinning? What do? We get into something in the physical. So now I'm hearing everybody, and I know only too well, sometimes that looks like food or a substance that's going to alter your state of mind. I'm really encouraging you to not make it something you ingest, to make it something that you engage with, okay? Because a lot of this is about our free will being re-engaged, reactivated in the material realm. So something you engage with physically, that's not ingesting a substance. Interesting, right? Because like that's the thing that we've also been given as like, oh, you're feeling anxious, here, ingest this, eat this food, watch something else. drink something, ingest something, and alter your state mentally and emotionally. And what I'm getting is that we engage physically. So earthing always is amazing, although it wasn't working for me yesterday. It was the loud music and all the testosterone at the gym that popped me out of that state yesterday. Um, I want you to laugh about this a little bit, folks, because, yeah, it's scary, but what I'm being shown here is not scary. It's beautiful. When we learn to work with these minds, like you could almost say that all of this drama of mass hypnosis, mind control has been to show us how powerful our minds are. And we've got the memo. This is in the past. The big wake up call. It's happened. We already got it. Now we got to turn it around and go, you know what? This is a gift. This is a gift. And open to working with this. Oh, yeah. Okay, now, oh my gosh. Okay, the guides are now showing me we can actually dismantle the dark controlling program with our thoughts, our intentions connected to our emotions. So they're literally going like, okay, I've got the tower here, that all of that. Remember I said here with this star, it's run its course. They've done so much with it. And it appears that they've built this big structure that's like a prison, right? That's got us all. Like, we got you, we know how to hypnotize you, we know how to like get you out of yourself and all that kind of stuff. But here we send energy purposefully to that. So if you feel yourself bumping up against that, where you're like, oh, here I go, I've got all these negative thoughts and I'm in a strange state, there's a lot of anxiety, what's going on, I feel like I've been hypnotized or programmed with something, whether it came in through radio waves, my neighbor's consciousness, whether it came from something I watched or heard yesterday, whatever that was, or if it's some old memory from my childhood being programmed with something, whatever that is, we don't need to know where it came from. What we need to know is identify it and send it joy. Send it joy. And how do you send it joy? Because it's the opposite of joy when you're in that state, right? You're like, I feel like you know what. You change your state by interacting with something physical, and you just keep looking energetically. You keep going, try different things. What worked for you yesterday, what worked for you an hour ago might not work for you at this moment. So your goal, your mission is to find that thing that physically changes your state, and then send that programming joy and watch what happens. It literally, like they're just going, it just goes, it just disintegrates. We're going to get so good at this, everybody. We're going to get so good at this. So when you get a feeling of, here it is, I'm in that state, instead of going, oh, I'm so angry, or why are they doing this to me, or now what do I do, or I feel so helpless. I've coached people through feelings of such extraordinary self-defeat, helplessness, overwhelm, hopelessness in the last couple of weeks. And it's like, it isn't about closing off those feelings. Those feelings are real. We invite those feelings in. Queen of Cups, Knight of Cups, we say, you're welcome here. Yes, it is upsetting. Absolutely, it is overwhelming. Yes, give up, give up, give up in this moment. And in the next moment, what shows up? What shows up? Let's look for something, not desperately seeking, but let's just tune in and see what can change that state. We're going to get really good at this. So instead of being mad that this is happening, see it as, I'm just so surprised. It's all about, this is the perfect opportunity. This is made to order for us to grow into the tremendous, strong, powerful capacity of these extraordinary minds of ours. All right. Let's see what's coming up here. Yay. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Sue. I was thinking about that yesterday. Our inability to focus and ADHD is absolutely part of this. So it, and it's fascinating that we've grown more and more like that in this last 40, 50 years since television and the moving pictures have been such a part of our lives. I mean, it's just incredible, isn't it? And this sort of taps into my last presentation 3 weeks ago when I was talking about, those traditional family gatherings and ways that we used to bond and connect in a meaningful way regularly. First it was every night at the dinner table, then it was once a week at the dinner table, then it might have been just seasonally at the dinner table. And now it's like, good luck getting everybody to sit down to the dinner table and not have devices on and not have the television going, right? So what's happened is, really tragic because it's disconnected us. And yet we've discovered how powerful the mind is, because I don't think our forebears understood that. And so knowing that, armed with that, let's look at how we intentionally heal this phenomena, which includes the inability to focus and ADHD. When I was contemplating this topic yesterday, I kept being shown things like games, like, definitely games like chess, where there's strategy and you've got to stay focused and you've got to be literally planning ahead a few moves. Those games have been around for literally, more than 1,000 years. And people use those games to keep the brain healthy. Our ancestors used to track animals sometimes for days. Hunting was like a strategic, focused energy. So what can we reintroduce where we are working these brains and giving them something to focus on and retraining them? Brain gym is another great practice that we know works to support people who have ADHD in creating neural pathways where they can stay focused. I'm getting like the tapping, whatever it's called, EFT techniques, all, Joe Dispenza's work. Like what's happened, the guys are saying, is that the whole thing has been like almost like put under a microscope and everything has been exaggerated. So what they're saying is that there was always ADHD. There was always some people that were able to focus and concentrate and create extraordinary, art, technology, beautiful artifacts. Like there was people that were able to do that or be very successful strategically. And then there was people that couldn't concentrate. So we're all being given the opportunity to train our minds in the way that we want them to work. And I'm also being shown like mindfulness practice for some people. So it feels like what you want to do when you're intentionally deciding to expand the capacity of the potential of your brain to develop your consciousness and also to engage your will and be able to focus and complete tasks. Everyone's going to have a different program of protocols that's going to work for them because all our minds are different. So some of these techniques that I've just mentioned, explore them, see how they work with you. If something isn't working, just move on and work with something else. Okay, I feel like I want to look at your questions and see if there's anything else. Bouldering indoors and outdoors. Yeah, thank you. Grounding. Oh yeah, talking about video games. Okay. Let's go with the working with the earth energy, grounding ourselves, and then let's go with technology's role in this. 2 questions. Starting with earth. Here I go. Shuffling. Interesting. Oh. Huh. Well, a little surprise there too. What I'm also being shown is it's not always the best method because of the earth being mostly made of silica, like a giant crystal. Sometimes it magnifies our thought challenges, our mental challenges. So let's have a look at this. I'm curious now. Hmm. Huh. Fascinating. Very, very interesting. Oh my gosh. Who knew? What I'm getting is that if we go to earth to ground when we're in that negative, upset state, programmed into that controlling dominant paradigm, or even when we are in that like kind of hypnotized like zombie state, which we sometimes get into if we've been focusing too much on media and stuff like that, or people that have been on video games for a long time, if they go into nature, it actually magnifies it, is what I'm being shown. So what I'm getting is that we energetically change our state first. We work on getting the mind into a better frequency before we put our feet on the ground. And boy, that's a game changer for me. Like it's almost like I may have been exasperating conditions that I've had in the past sometimes. The other thing is that I'm being shown, well, actually, sorry, just did a Gemini thing there. The other thing is I recall at a point in my life where I lived in a beautiful natural surroundings place where I could literally walk out the door into this exquisite garden anytime I wanted. Sometimes I would look out and be overwhelmed with the power of the natural world, and I would literally want to just hide from it. And I feel like that had a lot to do with interesting that was also the year that I got my first home computer laptop and was spending a lot of time doing research on the internet. So that contrast of being in that hypnotized state and then going out into nature was really hard. So what I'm getting is we're actually working intentionally choosing to shift the energy frequency, to shift that mind state first, then go into nature. And also to how we know that it's succeeding is that we feel amazing. So we literally feel really optimistic and like warm, grateful, happy in our hearts. This is the happiness card, the emotional fulfillment, like real joy. And it's in that state, then we ground that into earth. We ground that in. So it's like, in a way, Gaia is saying, get yourself in order before you commune with me, meaning utilize other practices to change the state. And when you feel that shift, then go and ground that into Gaia, and it's going to magnify the state you're already in. Okay. Now we're going to go around the other side of this question, which is, I gotta say, now we're on to tapping into the other topic around sugar substances. I feel like through the years observing with clients, obviously addictions are, things like alcoholism and other addictions are hugely destructive. And I have to say that I honestly feel like sugar is the gateway drug for all addiction, and that we are deeply affected by how much sugar has been put into our constitutions. Alcohol, caffeine, those three substances have been so disruptive to the human psyche, to the human physiology, to the human nervous system, and ultimately affecting our emotions. So, what does that mean? You can look around and go, there's people that just ingest this stuff nonstop and they don't seem to be the least bit bothered. Well, most of you watching and listening fall into the category of being sensitive, empathic, tuned in. We could call it highly calibrated, phenomenal mind consciousness capacity, big heart energy, deep resonance with spirit. So it's like a finer tuned being that isn't as much in the gross density of life. And in that fine tunement, we are basically very susceptible to the combination of putting substances in our body. And then that creates a frequency in the brain, which draws all this distorted, mind programmed stuff to us. Does that make sense? In my volume 2 workbook for my your tarot tools workbook that are available on my website, I talk about the experiences of empaths and what I believe is a way to work with our empathic qualities and abilities and gifts. And one of the major things I say is that we are very, very sensitive to substance ingestion in the physical realm. So does that mean we can't ever have substance? Well, each person is going to need to navigate and experiment with that, even at different phases of their life, to see what is the effect of that. How does that affect your mental state, your susceptibility to being hypnotized, programmed to shift into darker states of consciousness and thought? So, if in doubt, if you're on a bad trip, literally, mentally. Give yourself a 3-day respite from alcohol, sugar, and caffeine. And, perhaps for some people who are very sensitive, I know I am, even to other carbohydrates like, fruit sugars and processed carbohydrate of any sort. I have to stay clear of all of those things, do very, very minimal carbohydrate. And if you give yourself 3 days and it does really change the chemistry in your body and brain, that alone may start to shift that state. Okay. Let me just tune in here. Yeah. Thank you, Ricky. What we send out comes back to us. And, honestly, I'm hearing what we receive, we send out. So, it's okay. We're all going to have periods of time where we struggle with this. Yesterday, I was actually talking with Anya. Remember, dear Anya? I'm still doing readings periodically on her Patreon. And we had a reading yesterday, and we were actually talking about this phenomena of energy. Literally, she was noticing, because she's been traveling so much, picking up on the collective psyche and going, like, this isn't even my thought. I don't think these thoughts. Where is this coming from? And what I was, we did cards on it. And what I was shown was, it's like those of us who can are like thought transmuters. So you could be like, oh, great. Add that to, now I've got to be this person that has all this responsibility and so on and so on. But like, what's the alternative? Is to just feel victimized and go into a downward spiral of thinking. Like, we might as well say, yeah, if we can do it, let's do it. Let's do it. And it's a gift. It's an offering to those frequencies around us. We're creating a ripple effect. So what I'm referring to is back to the beginning of this live, where if you're getting bombarded by thought frequencies that are really disturbing, negative, disempowering, or make you feel really like you can't get motivated, you feel stuck, you feel lethargic, you feel like, who cares, that nihilistic kind of energy frequency. Those are one of the hardest ones to work with, because you're in that and you don't want it. You don't want a solution. You don't even care about a solution, or you just feel too wiped out to even know where to start with that kind of energy. Well, as I said, those are the times where you literally just look around for something that isn't ingested, but you're physically interacting with to change that state. Then as soon as you get in a better state, then go outside, put your feet on the ground, sit in nature. For some people, I'm hearing that water really helps. So sometimes a shower, a salt bath, and sometimes you might need to stack 2 or 3 things on, where it's like, okay, I'm in this state. I did my thing. It's not helping. Do something else. Like I said yesterday, I had to try like 4 things before I broke the spell. And then once the spell was broken, I was like, okay, I feel pretty good, knock on wood, right? Okay, the last thing I was going to look at is video games. Let's finish off with this. Hello, Pluton from Sweden. Hello, State of Bliss. Just going to look over everybody here quickly. Christina, hi. Liz D. Big Shell. Cecilia. Shauna, hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Okay, let's end off with video games. Why not, right? It's like the final frontier. Shuffling as I am. Video games, what do we need to know about this? Working with our youth, and in some cases now we've got, people that are pretty hooked on video games that are in their 40s. and even 50s. So it's pretty much across the board at this point. I'm going to turn the cards this way. 6 of Cups, the Child, 7 of Pentacles, Patience, Ace of Cups, the Death card, woo, 8 of Swords, King of Swords, 2 of Cups, 2 of Pentacles. Wow. Okay. All right. I'm going to start with a sidebar because I've seen this before and I love it. We're going to have a youth rebellion. It might not get going for another 5 to 7 years, but there's going to be like, wow, I heard a class action lawsuit against some of these video companies. Woo! Whoa. From the youth. Interesting. Whoa. Okay, we'll just leave that one, whatever. So there's going to be a pushback down the road. There's youth that are going to learn about the brain and go, what have you done? You've stolen my brain. Now it's going to take me the rest of my life to get it back. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because the joy in this is that it's already like I see it. And I've seen this for years. I've seen, you know what? Guess what? The next generation, so the ones that are born within the next 6 years, are going to be the ones that do something totally different. Okay. And so there's going to be enough of them that are like, there's enough of us that are going to stop these little ones from getting hooked on technology before the age of 7. Let's start with that. And then that's going to give them brain capacity that their peers that got baby iPhones are not going to have. And it's going to be like, what is going on? Like, these people think and these people can't think. Oh my Lord. And then these ones are going to be like, I am so mad. I'm going to like tackle this. There's going to be a huge pushback. And the revolution is going to be, I was shown like Kumbaya with acoustic guitars around a fire. Like, they're going to be like, oh, you know, our parents were all into technology, but we hate technology. So they're going to be like the, you know, anti-technology kids. And that's going to be the way to rebel when these kids, so within 7 to 14 years, this is what we're going to see. Not everywhere, not all the kids, but this is going to be the counterculture revolution. And within 20 years, it's going in a completely different direction because people are like mad. They're like, you stole my life. And I have to say, to end off, this is also going to be directed at the people that have put out adult entertainment on the internet. Because people, and I've seen it, I'm seeing it, some of my clients are telling me stories about their youth, obviously particularly the young men, and how they're getting really mad about what's been done and how it's robbed them from their ability to have meaningful, intimate, emotional connections and relationships. And this is going to become big stuff in the next 20 years. We are going to see that generation taking this on and going, enough already. Yay. Blessings to you all, everyone. I gotta go. I do actually have a reading right after this. So have a beautiful week. We are back to doing lives 11 o'clock on Wednesday mornings, and I'll work hard to get the topic out a little earlier so you can join me here next week. Blessings, everybody. Bye for now.